SMCI is up over 13% today, trading $41 a share before tomorrow's earnings, and nobody's really talking about it other than a blip I saw. Nvidia having a strong day. Pretty exciting market, even though it seems pretty quiet. Today's going to be a great video, so stick around. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor, on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Hello, my YouTube friends, and happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope you got to spend some family time. I hope you just got to do some things that you enjoy doing. Do me a favor, mark that in the comments. Tell me what you guys did. Are you traveling? Are you hanging out with family? Did you go to a nice dinner? We had a really busy weekend this weekend. Um, Super Bowl party on top of working on science project and all sorts of things. And then on the weekends we got snowboarding practices, so I go up to the mountain and kind of hang out while my son goes and snowboards. Anyway, on to the markets. What a day for SMCI, and it's been really quiet. Now, I did a video a while back saying how I thought that SMCI is like the bargain of the century. I'm really interested to see how the earnings come out tomorrow, because if they're what I'm hoping for and the stock continues to kind of go parabolic and hopefully doesn't get a whole lot of mention on CNBC, I have a feeling that things aren't as bad as they ended up being in the news, and maybe the stock got oversold, and I'd like to see some follow through to the upside. Now, that being said, as always, I do not know the future. I am just telling you what I think. You guys really need to do your own research when figuring out what you need to do for your finances, and probably reach out to a financial advisor to go over your decisions and what your thoughts are. This is just me sharing what I do, and you shouldn't really listen to any YouTuber for financial advice, because there's no disclosures, there's no covers. It's just somebody's opinion, and maybe they're good at this, maybe they're not. It just is what it is, and that is what I hope for SMCI. Now, I have a position in it because then I really hope for it because it'll work out for me. What I feel like is, so for those of you who don't know, SMCI builds the data plants for the companies, which has been huge for the AI that's been going on. There was some sort of accounting scandals, and we're not really sure if their accounting's correct or not, and their accountant actually left, which drove the stock down, and they were saying that they're lying in their books, and SMCI denies that emphatically. I know they are a real company. I do not picture them being similar to Enron from years ago, and we'll see at this earnings report how it actually looks on the books. And if in fact it turns out that the accounting company wasn't so accurate with what they were saying, and the earnings are pretty good and they're making the type of money that I'm hoping for, well, the stock was significantly higher from where it is currently, which means there was no reason it really should have sold off. So it really could have an awful lot of room to run. That's what I'm hoping. Now, the options are super juicy for anybody who likes to trade options. I think when I saw the implied volatility was almost 150, which is awesome in terms of, like, that's a huge volatility index. The other one I've been super excited to watch was Nvidia. After the sell-off, it's already back to $134 a share. I think during the sell-off, it got as low as 115. And I was talking about in Nvidia, or in another video, that it's one of the few that I've added on to my trading account. I picked up a decent amount of shares when it pulled back. I'm excited to see how it started to rebound. And they haven't reported earnings, and they have another 2 weeks until they do. I'm hoping that it bounces around a bit and it doesn't go back down and maybe even drifts a little bit higher before the earnings. And then we can see what it does going into the earnings. Now, me personally, I'll probably sell some call options as we go into the earnings. I sold some that expire this week. It's possible I get taken on one of them because it's close enough to where it's trading. I might actually end up selling 100 shares, which is just fine. The stock's been doing great. And I think when it fell off, Nvidia finally became reasonably priced again. I'd say where it is now is flip a coin. So it's not like I'm super in love with it as I was when it pulled back. I still like Amazon and I still look like Google as they've pulled back. I think any time that really good companies have a pullback, that creates opportunity to buy them for less than where they were trading. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily going right back up. Google and Amazon had decent reason why they sold off. The street is worried about their margins and future growth, which maybe it's an issue, but I still think they're great companies and I want to own great companies. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you look for the Googles and Amazons or do you look for things that are kind of off the radar that other people aren't watching? I know I mentioned a little bit, I've started to also pick up some Polaris. I don't think I'm really thinking of that as something for a trade in the trading account. It just seems really oversold, in my opinion. It's on lows for the year. It's paying a 6% dividend that looks like they can afford to make those payments. I just feel like they're a good company that is one of the top in their field. They make things like snowmobiles and four wheelers and things of that nature, and it's a cyclical business and things have slowed a bit, making it sell off. People, it's out of favor, and they've been around a while. My guess is they've seen ups and downs in the economy, and even if it slows down a little bit more, they'll manage to get through it, and in time it'll pick up again. Now that might be 5 6 years down the road, but at some point I'm guessing their sales pick up and they've weathered the storm and things start working out for them, and in the meantime, it feels like it's a discounted price to me. So I've been picking up Polaris. I'll probably sit on it for a while and not put it in the trading account. The other stock that's been on my radar, and also this one is just as a trade because I like that the options volatility is so high. I've kind of backed off selling the options that I was on MicroStrategy because after the earnings, it seems like the volatility index has come in. You're not getting the premium that I would hope for if selling the options. So I've kind of lightened up and I'm keeping an eye on it to see if it starts bouncing around a bit more and maybe it goes up a bit, making the options more attractive. But I've been watching one OKLO, which I've mentioned before. It's an energy company and nuclear that the director of energy is a big part of the company. So I saw an opportunity to own it while he's in that position because I figure they could benefit from that. It's gotten so outrageous that its volatility is trading well over 100 in the options. Now, to be fair, it shot from about $30 a share to 60 in a very short amount of time, which is obviously a huge move. So there's good reason why the options have so much premium in them. But I like how it gets like that based on my background when I used to trade on the floor. If I'm trading things like me personally that don't move enough, I get too impatient. So the ones that really bounce around work better for the type of trader that I am. I don't know what works for everybody else. That's just me personally and what works for me. But I like how the options have gotten so much premium then. Um, but the stock's really volatile, so be careful if it's something you're looking at, especially because I don't know that I actually believe in them as a company. It's not like one of the things I want to own for the next 5 years. I just like the movement of the stock, and I don't really pay attention as to if I think it's fairly valued or not. I'm trading off of the movement and the trend, not my thoughts on its valuation. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I liquidated my position in Uber. I did that because they had made an announcement that Bill Ackman had picked up a bunch of shares. Now, I don't want that heard the wrong way either, because really I think that's an indication that it's a good investment. I just think that it pushed the stock too high based on the fact that somebody bought it. I had bought it basically because it sold off on news about autonomous vehicles and people being concerned that there's going to be a whole bunch of new competition for them. The problem is that's just hearsay. Like we don't know how it's going to play out. We can have our opinions of what we think will happen, but from what I heard, there's something like 21 different companies trying to compete in the autonomous vehicles uh, whatever you call it, space. And I don't know how it'll play out and what Uber's role will be in it. In the meantime, their earnings are doing well. They're continuing to grow at a good pace. So if it's selling off on something that we really don't know how it'll play out, and if Uber will end up being a part of how it does play out, Just seems like a mistake to me. Same time, the stock ran from like $60 a share to $75 in less than a month as the announcement about Bill Ackman came out. And today I think it's up to 77. And maybe it's a huge mistake getting out because I think they're a great company and it's one I probably want to be invested in. I just thought, similar to other times I've seen things like that, sometimes it goes a little too far, then it settles down, it pulls back, and it can create an opportunity to get back in. And if I miss it, I miss it. I'm okay with that. Again, I don't think you guys should be following me in this. You should be investing in the things you love and want to own and just sticking with them for a long time because that tends to work out really well. Now, I still have another stock or two to talk about, but before I forget, if you haven't already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are looking at in terms of buying, or tell me what you think of the picks that I've made in the video today. You guys have no idea how much that helps YouTube's algorithm, and that would be a really kind way of, thanking me by touching those buttons and hitting that like and subscribe. Um, so thank you if you do. Anyway, one of the ones I've been really excited to see how it's been doing because nobody knows about it is Portillos. If you're not familiar with Portillos, they're a restaurant chain that started in Chicago, really focusing on Chicago style food, like a Chicago hot dog. And me growing up in New York and being a bit of a snob of, everything in New York is the best, I will tell you a Chicago hot dog, in my opinion, personally, is way better than just sauerkraut and mustard. It's a really interesting mix that I would have never thought of. Like, who would put lettuce and tomato and celery salt that I didn't even know what it was prior to being in Chicago on a hot dog, along with all the other things they put on? But it's really good. And I think they're the type of restaurant that's going to go to all these new states and the food's going to transition and people are going to enjoy it. Like, at least in my opinion, which is worth pretty much nothing as we know. Anyway, it's trading around $15 a share. It made lows under $10 a share, and I think it's still inexpensive here. And I mean inexpensive in terms of price to earnings ratio. I don't mean because it's only $15. Like, I don't think that way. But I think based on how many shares outstanding and where they are in the cycle of their life, I think closer to like $20 or $25 is a more fair value today. And as they continue to grow, I think there's real potential for them. They have very few restaurants already. And I think if they can get somewhere like, I haven't done enough research to know where they're located and whatever else, but I picture them being next to like ASU in Arizona and just crushing it near the college. Or I think it would translate really well to tons of towns in Texas. Italian beefs, they've got this cake shake, they do ribs, they've got the Chicago dogs. I mean, they have a great menu. And it's not this tiny little fast food place. At least the one in downtown Chicago, it's got multiple sections. So if you want to order certain items, you get in a different line than if you want other ones. Like, it's a cool operation that's run really well. If they're able to expand that, I see a lot of room for tons of growth over the next 10 or 20 years. So I'm excited to see how Portillo's does, and I'm hoping it's just one of those sleeper stocks that really catches people off guard. The other thing is Cisco, the Cisco Systems, not the food company, is reporting earnings this week, and I'm excited to see how they'll do. They've been slowly drifting higher again, nobody paying attention, not talked about on CNBC. It rarely gets TV time, and they're making, year highs, which is kind of cool. They were a darling back in the .com bubble. The thing then cratered, and nobody talks about it anymore. But they're still around. They make plenty of money. They pay a decent dividend. It's one of the ones I have in my set it and forget it account, and I was happy to make, 3%. I think now it's around like 2.5% return to just see if they end up being, something that's in the limelight one day down the road again. It's been like 20, 25 years. So I think it's been long enough that their earnings are going to start being what people focus on and not thinking of it as, oh, it's the greatest or the worst or anything like that. So I guess we'll see how it does this week. And then I'd like to give one shout out before I call it a day to my sponsor this week. I'd like to thank my sponsor is my wife and my son who put up with all of my nonsense, let me do these videos and see me as the center of the universe. That's just something I'm going to say to see if they actually watch the video and make it this long because I doubt they really do. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, really, I do want to thank my wife and my son. I'm super fortunate. We're going to go on a couple of trips. Um, spring break, we're going to go to Mexico City. So if anybody's ever been there and has some suggestions, we're really excited. I'm always like, I've never gone, so it's one of the places that I'm surprised I haven't made it to. And then we're planning a trip this year for the summer to Asia again, and probably going to do Japan, and we're going to stop for a couple days in South Korea, and then we're going to spend a good amount of time in China. So excited for both of those. Make comments about where you guys like to travel because I love to travel. I've thought of doing travel videos, but I enjoy my trips too much to worry about taking out the camera and bugging people and whatever else, and then all the editing and everything else that people need to do for travel videos. I'd rather just go and enjoy our trips. Anyway, have a great Monday. I'm sure I'll find time to post something again during the week, and let's hope the markets continue to roar on forward. Bye bye.